Hi everyone, I am here today to do a book review for you, and that is The 100 Lies of Lizzie Lovett by Chelsea Sedoti. And I received this book from the publisher Sourcebooks Fire via NetGalley in return for an honest review, and I gave it 5 stars. So, where to start with this book? I went into this not expecting too much, and I was absolutely amazed by it. It's one of those books that you have some issues with, and yet somehow those issues lead you to loving it. I had such a love-hate relationship with this book. At one point I was just laying in bed reading it on my Kindle thinking, I just want to throw my Kindle across the room. There were no words for how angry this book was making me. This is a young adult contemporary novel with a bit of a mystery twist in it, and it follows the story of a young girl who is 17 named Hawthorne, as she discovers that someone who was a few years older than her, called Lizzie Lovett, has mysteriously disappeared while camping in the woods with her boyfriend. Now, of course, rumours start spreading everywhere. People make all sorts of accusations. Maybe her boyfriend killed her. Maybe she wandered off and decided to start a new life for herself. There were so many different theories. Hawthorne comes up with her own ridiculously wacky theory that really made me worry about this book at one point. I was like, oh my god, I can see what direction this is going in, and I didn't like it at all, and I was really, really worried. But I shouldn't have been worried. It all worked out perfectly in the end, because it all became some sort of overarching idea that was written between the lines as to how obsession and letting your mind run away with you can lead to quite bad things. And obsession is definitely an idea that gets really covered well in this book. Hawthorne is obsessed with Lizzie. She knew her vaguely at school, even then thought that she was the most perfect girl in the world. Apparently she was just beautiful in every way. According to Hawthorne, everyone loved her. Everyone thought that Lizzie was just an amazing person who everyone wanted to be. And I'm sure many of us can identify with that, in that there was someone at school who everyone thought was amazing, and no doubt everyone wanted to be, and everyone thought that they probably had the most perfect life in the world. So this is identifiable with. So Hawthorne is totally obsessed with Lizzie when she finds out she's gone missing. She cannot stop thinking about it, she cannot stop talking about it. She annoys everyone around her by just bringing the conversation up constantly. It drives her best friend insane, it drives her family insane. And then things take an even darker twist, because Hawthorne becomes that obsessed she starts trying to insert herself into Lizzie's life. So she takes it upon herself to go to where Lizzie used to work, sort of fishing for information, because Hawthorne wants to be the one to find out what happened to Lizzie. While she is there fishing for information, she actually ends up getting herself a job. Before she knows it, she has then also befriended Lizzie's boyfriend. And this is just so difficult to read, because how can anyone be this obsessed with a person? This is just insanity, and it is really painful to read, but then you are probably experiencing it in a way where that's what the author wants you to experience, because this is how her family are going to be feeling. They are getting so frustrated with her. Her best friend Emily is getting so frustrated with her because she is so self-absorbed and so obsessed with Lizzie, and nothing else matters. It is this really awful tone early on in the book which makes this quite a difficult read to begin with. As I said, the first 20 or 30% of this book I was worried about what direction it was going to go, and I was just finding that I was spending all my time really angry. And if the writing hadn't have been as good as it was, I perhaps would have put it down there, and that would have been such a tragedy. I think the most beautiful thing about this book is that you definitely see Hawthorne's character progress. So, as I said, she starts off like that in the beginning. She's still very much like that in the middle, and for the most part she's a little bit like that towards the end, but you can see that she is learning from her experiences. She is such an interesting character in the sense of there must be something slightly mentally wrong with her to get that obsessed. I won't go into all the details of the obsession because they are spoilers, but further on into the novel the obsession takes an even darker turn, and I honestly don't understand how someone can become that fixated upon someone and their life. And mental health is definitely an aspect that is touched upon in this book, and I actually think it's done really well. It's not something I can discuss an awful lot because this review is going to be spoiler free. So you just have to take my word on that depending on how you read this book, because I have seen some very Marmite reviews of this book, people seem to either love it or hate it, and one of the issues that some people have is with how mental health is portrayed in this novel. But I feel like it was done really well, and the author does a fantastic job of showing how mental health can lead to real loneliness. To take another look at this, Lizzie's boyfriend Enzo, he is a messed up man. He is 25. I think Lizzie was supposed to be 21, so that is a fine age gap. However, when Hawthorne comes trotting along and starts making friends with Enzo, why would a 25-year-old want to regularly hang out with a 17-year-old? That difference is just too much. Especially with someone like Hawthorne, who is very immature for her age. She, at times, reminds me more of like a 14-year-old than a 17-year-old. She is just a disastrous mess of emotional wreck. And the only conclusion I can come to with Enzo is the fact that he must have been that lonely. He clearly has no support network around him for the fact that his girlfriend has gone missing, yet he is always alone. The only time he's ever really seen with anyone else other than Hawthorne is Lizzie's family. And so where is his own family? Where are his own friends? They are never mentioned at any point. His life must be that big a mess, and he must be that lonely that he actually is pleased to entertain an immature 17-year-old's ridiculous conspiracy theories and ridiculous disappearance theories to actually just have some company and to feel some reassurance. Their relationship is very problematic, and I feel like the author does a really good job of showing that this is not okay. There are also some really other interesting characters in this book. So as I have already mentioned, there is Emily, who is Hawthorne's best friend, and how she has ever put up with Hawthorne through all these years is totally beyond me, and deserves a medal, quite frankly. She does have a loyalty tested somewhat in this book, and she starts pushing the boundaries back, and I feel like this actually helps Hawthorne become a better person. Hawthorne's family are also really interesting. Her mum is basically an ex-hippie, still slightly a hippie, and makes them eat a lot of vegan food, and the meals that she prepares throughout the book bring a sort of more humorous tone, and I really enjoyed this aspect. You also have some of that history of her mother's life coming back into the present, and some of the characters that brings along are also really interesting and add just a little extra dimension to the story and a little extra something. So you've got more relationships, you've got more Hawthorne discovering herself, and I thought that was a great little extra touch. You've also got Hawthorne's brother Rush, and he is everything you would want out of an older brother, yet Hawthorne doesn't recognise this. She doesn't realise how fantastic he actually is, or how lucky she is to have such a wonderful older brother who will look out for her like that. And I love how their relationship develops throughout the book, because at the beginning, I'm not the biggest fan of Rush, but as we get to know him better through the book, I thought it was great. Same with his best friend Connor, who again is a really nice guy. He's described as someone who you would really want to hang around with. He's just such a typical guy next door you would want to know, and I loved his presence. I loved any scenes that he was in. He sounded quite a nice, handsome young man. I think the thing that I loved most about this book is that it actually teaches you to be grateful for what you have and to not judge your own life upon other people's. You might look at other people and think that they are having a way better life than you, that things are so much better for them, that this is better for them, that is better for them, that they have just got the perfect life and that yours is just a miserable crap existence. And that is just not true. And this book does an excellent job of demonstrating that. It shows that you can't possibly know what is going on in other people's lives. You only see little snippets of their lives unless it's someone that you know very well and spend 24/7 with. There is always going to be things that you don't see, things that you don't know, and you can't just assume that someone who you walk past in the street who looks happy is actually having the most wonderful life in the world. And I feel like this is something that many people can identify with in reality, because it is something that most of us must think. You walk down the street or you see a couple together and you think, oh, they look so happy and so in love, they must have the most perfect relationship. And of course they don't. That is just a fact of life. And I'm sure sometimes this is something that people can become obsessed with, and there again is the theme of obsession. I just love how clever this book was. I feel like this is a fantastic read for teenage girls, and while not everyone is going to love it, I feel like it's a really important read, and I would definitely recommend it to anyone and everyone that is watching this and thinks that it might sound interesting, because I feel like there are some really valuable lessons in this book. Finally, I just want to quickly mention the thriller aspect of this book and the mystery aspect. I haven't really read many young adult thrillers, and so I don't know where this stacks against them and where the mystery aspect stacks against them, but I feel like these aren't areas that really kept my focus all that much. It was definitely the reason why I kept turning the pages, because I wanted to know what had happened to Lizzie, but beyond that I felt that it was not something that I would necessarily sort of promote this book on. I'd definitely promote it more on the fact of the mental health issues and the obsession and just the contemporary side of things. I wouldn't go into this looking for a mystery and thriller. But yeah, all the same, I really enjoyed this book. I thought it was fantastic, and I hope if you do pick it up that you enjoy it too. If you've already read this book and you want to discuss it with me in the comments down below, please do. I would love to know what you personally thought of this book. Thank you so much for watching this review. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you want to see more book reviews and other bookish content from me, and I will see you tomorrow with a book haul. Bye bye!